Hi, it's Roger Hamilton with the next step on Millionaire Master Plan. And while we have shared the different steps of the lighthouse and the different sides of the lighthouse, what you would have noticed by now is that there's a link between all of this and the flow of time. And you'll also have noticed that in the world today, there is more change than ever. So how do we tap into that flow in such a way that just like a surfer tapping into the waves in the sea, we don't have to just think about sinking or swimming, we can think about surfing. We can actually get on that wave. And the most important thing is to know that within the Wealth Lighthouse, there is a spiral staircase. And that spiral staircase links to the flow of time. And this spiral staircase, it actually goes back over 5,000 years, because it's the same 5 steps that are used by the Chinese within their 5 elements. In fact, these 5 steps that we go through, they also link to the square in a way by knowing that that square is really just the base of a pyramid. And that as we kind of go up from one step to the other, we're kind of spiraling up from one to the next, where there's the pyramid, and keeps on going like that, where we can keep on spiraling up by going in this cycle. So what are these key steps here? Well, we already know that we have got spring, summer, autumn, and winter. If you're in a team, then a team has these same steps that you might have heard of, which is the idea of form, and then storm, and then norm, and then perform. It's like how a team starts working together. In the same way that any different cycle in a market, you're always going to find that there's a spring, a start in the market. There's a time when everything starts to flourish. There's a time when everything settles, and there's a time when everything crystallizes. So by understanding these 4, we can then link those to what the Chinese see as the 4 different elements that link to these as well, which is wood, which is asking the question, what? So this is all about an idea that we know very well if you're at a Dynamo Energy, which is this concept of grow. Always growing new things, can't help but grow new things. And from the grow, which is this one here, wood then turns to fire. So if we have fire here, this fire is all about the question who? It's the people question. And this one here, fire, is all about a different promise, which is a promise to glow. People who are here can't help but glow. They always bring a glow into the room. And so they're bringing color in as opposed to perspective, which is a different type of vision. Then you have autumn, which is asking the question when. And when you ask the question when, I mean, if you ask the question, you start the question when, it doesn't help unless you know what and you know who. Because different people will be able to do it in different times, depending on how expert they are at what they're doing. So autumn here, this is now talking about our earth energy. So wood turns to fire, fire settles to earth, and this autumn earth energy is something called slow. These are the people who want to actually just slow everything down and actually be able to see the patterns that are existing in a way that wood will always be trying to speed things up. And then you'll find that then you get to winter, which is about no. No is metal energy. Metal energy is about the question how. Again, very, very different question. Easy way to remember this is use a pack of cards, because you'll find that hearts is here, which is all about the people. Diamonds is structure. It's all about the metal. You'll find that there is spades, which is all about earth. And then there's clubs, which is like head in the clouds, which is all about the wood. And all these link to each other, but most importantly, they link to the 5th one, which is the biggest question of all. It's what you need in order to make wood in the first place. It's a word called spirit. And that word spirit in the Chinese context is something called flow, which is based on water. And the water energy, which is the flow, which is the spirit, which links all of them, but it's outside of time, has a big question, which is the question why. Why is this important? Why are you doing things that you're doing right now? How much when we do the same thing over and over again do we end up back in the same place, when in fact, if we actually just ask the question why did that just happen again, we lift our level of consciousness. That's the question that allows us to lift ourselves from one reality to the next reality, to the next level up. So by understanding that whenever we're trying to figure out anything new, it always starts by asking the question why? Why am I even doing it this way? What is it that I could be doing different? What is it I'd really love to be doing? Okay, who could help me to do that? Now I know who's going to help me to do that. when am I going to connect up with them, and when are they going to show me what they can do and how we can do it? And that's what allows us to get ourselves to the how. Understanding that there's a cycle where you don't start by saying, how do I do it, and then not have an answer. But it starts by saying, why do I want to do it? What is it I want to do? There's a positive cycle which reinforces and grows where we're at. And that's one of the most important things for us to understand, is that that cycle is one which allows us to then also lift ourselves up and build through the cycles and the gears within an enterprise as well. Let's take this one step further, and let's say if we were to link that then together with the 4 sides of a square, and together with, most importantly, the enterprise prism. We can see very simply that there are 8 steps that link this, and remember, this is the base of the pyramid, where it all gets linked to this question why, which is the spirit of our business, which is the entrepreneurial spirit. That from each of these, we do have these questions which are what, which are who, which are when, and which are how. And every business needs to go through the same steps in the same cycle, which then also link us to the 3 different key parts when we actually start looking at the enterprise prism. Remember, there's yellow, which is the player, there's green, and then there's blue, the performer and the conductor. And all businesses will go through the same 8 gears in order for them to be able to go from a seed up to a tree, like an apple seed to a tree where you can pick your own apples again. And that starts from this one here, the first step, which always is a step called proven concept. Proven concept is where you've actually got people who want to buy your product, even if you haven't actually created the product yet. Unless you've got a market that's willing to buy a product, it's not really a business yet. An idea doesn't do it. But if you've got a proven concept, which is all focusing at, can I get people to buy at a certain price because they can see value in it, then the next part comes in, which is second gear. And this is where stars are much more effective, right? As you're actually building it, you're going to find it's no longer about just more and more and more proven concept. You know, you accelerate as much as you can, you end up with just everyone buying one of your products, and that's it. So the second step here is brand attraction, which becomes easy with proven concept. And brand attraction is when your customers come back and buy a second thing from you, a third thing from you. The reason people queue up for like an Apple product is because the brand is strong enough, they'll buy the next product as well. And this allows you to have a flow in the business, which is necessary to get to number 3. Number 3 is where you actually start leading from yellow level, which is always focusing at these 2, to green level, which is operating team. An operating team, if you go out saying, I need to have a team, and you think they're going to be really expensive, well, believe me, the moment you've got brand attraction, great team members will come to you. They'll be attracted to you. So life gets easy. So don't go trying to find all the right people too early. Get to this step first. Then third gear gets easy. Then you get to fourth gear, which is market connections, which is absolutely necessary for green level, and it's necessary for you to have a business worth something. You'll never find a business on the stock market being traded that doesn't already have great market connections. And effectively, it means that the market is even more interested in keeping your business successful than you are. They depend on it because they're all part of that value chain that you're delivering. They're your suppliers, right? They're your partners. And from market connections, you'll find they're easy to get when you've got an operating team. Whereas if you try and get them too early, it's actually really tough to get them on board because they're too busy working with others that are already more established. But you take these steps, you'll always find yourself here where you can even change your team. You can even change your products, and you'll find that a lot of times you end up working with these people here to create even better products than you could ever do on your own. And that then leads to this here, which is tradable entity, which is all about you now having a business which is worth something, that people want to invest in, that people want to buy and sell. Every business on the stock market is a tradable entity. You need to have a tradable entity to be able to create capital value, equity in your business, and more importantly, to be able to go raise financing for other things. Someone like a Richard Branson, who's now in the blue level here, he's spending his time doing this, which is bankable asset, seeing what he can raise money for against his tradable entity, his tradable assets. A bankable asset is something where someone's willing to give you some money without taking any of what you've got, but securing against it. And believe me, a bank will loan against your business if it's been going for long enough and it's tradable. And if it hasn't been, they'll go for something else that they'll secure against, like your house, which you don't want to do because now you've actually turned your business problem into a personal problem if anything goes wrong. Now, from bankable asset, we then get up to this part, which is cash flow infrastructure. This is a little bit like anyone who's actually got a cash flow system. They have actually, like Google is a perfect cash flow system. Any distribution system that you have, Rockefeller did this with oil. This is where you're actually able to have people that are tapped in now to that flow, and then eventually licensable product, which is where you can actually pick the apple from the apple tree. People will buy the apple for the seeds inside, that they can actually grow their own apple tree as well. And now we're back to the 3 things that yellow is most focused at, the 3 things that green is most focused at, and the 3 that blue is most focused at. You can find that we all are part of this infrastructure, that we all need the other sides in order for us to sustain what we're doing as well, and most importantly, to allow the market to continue to give effectively for everyone within it. This is about value creation, not value destruction. And it's about the fact that when we understand what level we're at, you can always move naturally to the next path without having to kind of find yourself either stored in a gear that's too high, or find yourself actually caught in a gear that's too low, where you're just over revving the engine and burning out.